Every volume of RWBY has its ups and downs, and boy are there some bad downs. Not every episode is going to be fun or entertaining, even with my favorite volumes. There's always going to be a lull or something that annoys me that'll land an episode with the title of Worst. But which worst is worst of them all? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to rank them, so let's do this. Now obviously this list is going to be pretty subjective. These are all just my opinions, so it's only fair that you get to say your opinions too. You might love an episode I hate, or vice versa. I'd love to hear your thoughts, since I'm going to be giving you mine. Now, I'm going to pick one episode from each volume. In my opinion, the worst episode for that volume. I'm also putting them in order of decline, so number 1 will be the worst of the worst. But let's start with the top of this list. RWBY's 7 worst episodes. Let's go. The finale for Volume 2 ended up being less than amazing. After the mind-blowing fights on the train the episode prior, I expected the conclusion to hit even harder. Unfortunately, it seems like that train was where all the effort went for the last couple of episodes. The animation is slow and silly looking, the Grimm basically just run into the kids' weapons, and the whole fight is won way too easily. And the script was way too preoccupied with just shoving more and more characters into the episode, rather than having any of them actually do anything. Sun and Neptune don't even bring out their weapons, Cinder shows up in her villain dress, and she doesn't even fight. While the combat was pretty disappointing, the rest of the episode wasn't too bad. I'm putting Breach at number 7 because at the very least, seeing tension build between Oz and Ironwood was intriguing, and Torchwick's arrest also kept me wondering what was going to happen with him. Also, Team Coffee are epic, and really stole the show. While everyone else's combat is lazy looking or non-existent, at least Coffee got a ton of effort and love into their introductions. Boring for being the finale, but at least we got one good fight in it.
We can take a ship to Beacon.
Similar to Breach, the main problem I have with this episode is how boring it is for being part of the finale. It's mostly just used as setup for the next couple of episodes. RWBY approaches Torchwick's ship, but that fight isn't until the next episode. Blake runs into Adam, but that fight also has to wait. On top of that, we sadly skipped over Pyrrha apologizing to RWBY about murdering one of her best friends. I really wish the two could have had a moment together here. Maybe that way Pyrrha's death could have really meant more to RWBY. And then there's all these nerds. They kill a giant Nevermore super easily, and we don't even see any of them fighting again until the next episode. Setup is always boring, but an entire episode of setup right after the shit hit the fan is just 1,000 times more painful.
And do not miss what happens next.
Sure is, crowded, huh?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Blake's whole arc for Volume 4 is riddled with problems, but Menagerie is really the worst moment of it all. It starts with the fact that Blake is insisting Menagerie is too crowded, yet apparently the animators missed that memo. Look at this, these gaps are huge. And then when we're shown this wide shot, it looks like there's still plenty more space left if you just cleared out some of these trees. And then Blake doesn't give us any good explanations as to why it's so crowded. It immediately makes me start thinking of good examples as to how to fix these problems. Build onto the ocean. Build skyscrapers up into the sky. Do as Sun suggests and at least attempt to go into the desert. It makes me question why they can't have these simple solutions to these problems. And so they seem like they aren't real problems. It ruins the way I'm supposed to perceive Menagerie, and it ruins the way I'm perceiving Blake's character. It seems like she's coming up with these issues for no good reason, and despite very clear answers in front of her, she's insisting on making this a problem. Or rather, the writers are insisting on making it a problem. But the real killer is the way they drag Blake's character through the mud. The shy yet broody Blake has turned into a pissy teenager complaining all the time. And she is talking about important things, but her delivery makes it sound like she's just being whiny. Less of the eager revolutionary she used to be, and more like an irritated commenter on a Facebook post. And then the rest of the episode is just boring as hell. The Belladonnas sit still, desperately trying to make a joke land, and then the Albane brothers show up for no reason. Like, why are they here? just to show Blake who she's supposed to be angry at while she's on Menagerie. The characters stand in one spot for so long, I thought my computer froze. The whole episode could have been trimmed down to at least half its length, and maybe something interesting could have actually happened. It's boring, it's slow, nothing the Albane brothers say matters, nothing Blake says seems true because the animation is shit, and it ruins Blake's character for me. What a joke.
It is a wearying fight, after all.
Who says I'm done fighting?
Ugh, I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me, but I hate that big, stupid statue. Jean could have progressed as a character without a gigantic in-your-face reminder that Pyrrha used to be a character. There's zero subtlety with the scene. And with that, all the emotion I should feel is gone too. The stupid statue is clearly only here to ham-fistedly make Jean cry. But then the dumb red-haired woman does that too. She doesn't say anything deep or emotional, she just word vomits generally nice things about Pyrrha that we already knew. Why is she and the fucking statue here? Jean could have easily progressed as a character just with the help of Ren and Nora. Heaven forbid he ever actually fucking talks to his teammates. Jean's been moody about Pyrrha's death for 3 years, yet one lady who kind of looks like Pyrrha was all he needed to start to feel better? It's just so disappointing how half-assed this conclusion to his arc is. Not to mention, the rest of the episode is stupid too. Emerald and Mercury's scene is an unnecessary waste of time, and we skip over a potentially cool character arc for Oscar. After running away, I guess all he needed was to get a new outfit, and that'll make him feel better. Never mind any of that potential character growth we could go with that, him learning to deal with being Ozma's next life, just give him a new outfit and pretend it didn't happen. Then, the half-assed way the kids decide to steal an airship as their finale is the icing on this crap cake. Don't fill the episode with worthless scenes or dropped subplots that don't even serve our characters. And if you want an emotional scene to really have an impact on your audience, maybe practice a little restraint with their symbolic imagery, rather than just shoving every blatant attempt at a tearjerker down our throats. What a disappointment.
So, we steal an Atlas airship. Guys, I'm fine. Seriously, look.
The notorious Jean arc is known by many members of the fandom as the worst part of Volume 1, stretching across 2 different episodes, but oh, those 2 episodes? I think Jaundice is really the worst moment for the volume. At the very least, Forever Fall gave us Jean killing the Ursa in a cool way. Jaundice, however, just gave us one of the ugliest fights in the entire volume, if you could even call this a fight. Then, our heroes sit on their asses talking about how Carden is a dickhead, yet also do nothing to help Velvet, who's getting relentlessly bullied by him just a few feet away. These are our heroes, the people standing there and watching someone get bullied without helping? John's revelation on the roof to Pyrrha ended up going nowhere for his character. The animation is just really ugly, especially everyone's hands, and worst of all, Jean has stolen screen time away from our 4 main girls for an arc that ultimately means nothing. In every retelling of Volume 1, even the Japanese dub cuts out the Jean arc. The fact he cheated into school never gets brought back up again, and honestly, it just doesn't help his character at all. Yang doesn't get to do anything for this volume, and yet we set aside screen time for Jean, the comic relief who we barely know? I hate this episode because it's ugly, boring, annoying, and a waste of time.
I'm tired of being the lovable idiot stuck in the tree while his friends fight for their lives. Don't you understand?
Volume 6 had a lot of different plot points going on. Jacques rigging the election, the Winter Maiden powers, Ironwood's trust in Team RWBY being questioned, and in the middle of all these plot points starting to converge together, we were handed this shit sandwich that is cordially invited. An annoying waste of time that has such terrible cringe humor, it makes my teeth grind. How in the hell did they decide to take a whole episode just to crap out terrible slapstick jokes and having Jacques boringly wander around his lines? Jacques' voice actor is putting so much lilt to his performance, it sounds like Jacques is passing out in the middle of his sentences. I get it, you're supposed to be a villain. Do you have to use the most stereotypically evil voice you could think of? Why did the gay sops and everyone even fucking come to this thing? They didn't do anything. And also, why isn't anyone wearing formal attire? Fucking even Robin isn't wearing fancy clothes. And while we're on Robin, what the fuck is she doing? She's been in a heated political race with Jacques, who threatened the people of Mantle with their jobs if they didn't vote for him, yet she's more interested in just shitting on Ironwood. Oh, I don't trust you, Ironwood. What about the dude threatening your people? Not gonna be mad at him? Willie's whole character is so fucking pointless. He's been delegated to just a roadblock for Weiss. Rather than have the siblings actually talk to each other and potentially develop it all, just have him blabber on in the background while Weiss forgets she could just walk around him. Weiss has gone through this whole volume trying to figure out what her dad's been up to. But rather than actually have her figure it out, they just have Willow finish her character arc for her. Yeah, we finally get to see Mrs. Schnee after all these years, and it's a fucking waste. All she does is act as the Deus Ex Machina, handing Weiss all the answers for arresting Jacques and being a boring stereotype for an alcoholic. And the real icing on this piece of shit is the fucking cringy attempt at humor. Over-the-top slapstick that's right at home with an episode of Sesame Street. Worst of all, the episode continually tries to hop between this joke scene and with the serious political stuff, showing an obvious lack of understanding how tone works in a show. Everything, every little thing in this episode annoys me in one way or another. No cohesion, no stakes, no conflict, no humor, nothing. Nothing good happens here. I'd rather have a mind-numbingly boring episode than one that actively enrages me.
Whitley wants nothing to do with me.
Of course not. You left him alone. With us.
Now, before we get to number 1, let's get a look at some honorable mentions. I already mentioned Foreverfall from Volume 1, but the first episode of the series is also a little disappointing. After the epic animation from the trailers, what we got from the show proper was less than impressive. This will probably piss off a lot of people, but I don't like its brawl in the family. The introduction to Crow and Winter was spoiled by having them being in the opening for the show, and their fight is like, too fast. It's really the beginning of RWBY's fights starting to go at Mach speeds, and then beyond the fight is the rest of the episode is just kind of boring. Family from Volume 4 is also just really, really boring too. It's just not as annoyingly boring as Menagerie. Now, if you've been paying attention, you've probably noticed that number 1 comes from Volume 5, and honestly, some people would probably say that entire volume could be the number 1, but while we're still here on our honorable mentions, I'd like to point out a couple of specifics from Volume 5. Welcome to Haven was boring and slow, and was the only first episode of a volume that didn't even have a little bit of action. Unforeseen Complications was a waste of time, with Gira slowly wandering over flowery language that really meant nothing in the long run. Necessary Sacrifice was similarly pointless and wandering, but it also had the added pain of Blake boiling down her friends to one-word descriptions, highlighting how one-dimensionally written our entire main cast is. And of course, the whole finale at Haven has a slew of problems when it comes to pacing, writing, animation, characters, choreography, and just about everything else in between. But the true worst episode of RWBY, out of the whole series, for me at least, can be the one, the only...
Huh?
All my complaints from the previous episodes and more can be found in this one episode. It's boring. The kids just sit around the whole episode. We don't even get to see half of them standing at all during this entire thing. It's annoying. The jokes they attempt to make are bad enough, but it's really the kids forcibly screaming in laughter that drives home how aggravating this comedy is. Ren decides to ham-fistedly spell out how all the characters have grown over the years, because apparently the writers think you're too dumb to realize this character growth on your own. Or they just have so little of an idea of how to have the kids have a conversation with each other that they just resort to having the kids recap what they've gone through, because that's how most of the comedy scenes go. Hey guys, remember when we did this one thing? Yeah, that was cooler than just watching us eating shit, huh? The animation isn't even good. Like, no one barely moves. Why did Jean just decide to stop eating his noodles? You couldn't be bothered to give him at least a chewing animation? And why is Yang using her robot arm to hold her chopsticks? Using any utensil with a prosthetic would be difficult, but fucking chopsticks? And then, on top of her arm, she just shoots it off in an arm wrestle, and then just fucking laughs? All that pain and trauma from losing your arm is just gone, I guess, because ha 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 ha, it sure is fucking funny to throw your prosthetic arm off at your friends. Then we get to gather the whole party over to the living room so we can continue sitting still and doing fuck all, just so we can go over the fact that magic is real again. Oh, but oh no, Oz gifted the Bronwyn twins with the super amazing power to shapeshift into a bird at will, with 0 negative side effects. How dare! Let's all arbitrarily get mad for no good reason, because I guess this is what the writers think conflict is. Oh, you see, it's not the awesome bird powers that they're mad about, it's the fact he's keeping secrets. So fucking what? You are all the dumbasses who didn't bother to ask Crow about the fact he can turn into a bird. Why is it fucking Ozpin's fault that fucking... And on top of all that shit, the show has the audacity to think the cast needs a well-deserved break? Are you kidding me? After 6 episodes of all the characters sitting around, or standing around, or just lazily talking to each other while dropping boring exposition, you expect me to believe these lazy motherfuckers deserve a break? A break from doing fucking what? Nothing has happened all fucking volume. Why are we dedicating an entire episode to celebrating that? And yeah, I like it when the characters get to interact with each other. But that's the thing, I like it when they interact. This isn't interacting. This isn't an episode dedicated to the kids being friends again, coming back together. You know, what the writers really, really want you to think this episode fucking is about. You know what it's about? The kids sitting still and doing nothing. Rather than write conversations between the two, just have them say what they've done on screen. The things we've already seen. Guys, I summoned a boar, remember that? Yeah, I do remember. That was when the show was actually fucking exciting. How about you, instead of telling me about that, let's just talk to our friends. How have you been? What's it like with your new arm? Are you doing okay? It's the wasted potential with this. It could have been the thing I want more than anything else. Real good, meaningful character interactions between our main cast. We had everything set up. Everyone. Most of Team RWBY, Team Juniper sitting there. Everyone could have had a moment to finally just talk to each other. Actually have a meaningful interaction with each other. But instead, oh, my arm can pop off. Isn't that funny? You know, all those complaints like, hey, the friends don't actually seem like friends. Yang never talks to Ren. Nora never talks to Weiss. This episode could have been the episode to go against all those accusations. It could have been the highlighting moment to show us, yes, they are actually friends. We could have had actually having the friends proving that they're friends, actually talking to each other, actually having a moment being characters with each other, but nope. Nope, we gotta waste time with what? Let's explain that magic exists again for the 500th time this fucking volume. Oh, they can turn into birds and I'm mad about that. Oh, this is definitely what I wanted to see. Rather than seeing the characters actually being with their friends again and having meaningful interactions, let's just be mad because they can turn into a fucking bird. Fuck you. This was the episode that got me the closest to giving up on the show. It infuriates me. It's one of the biggest examples of bad writing, bad directing, and bad animating that I've ever seen from any animated medium. RWBY should be embarrassed that they asked people to give them money for a product as soulless and lazily rushed out as this.
You turn them into birds.
All right, now you're just messing with us.
What else is new?
Big shout out to my $10 patrons. You're all awesome. Cool Duck, James Dodds, Ramiel, Andrew, and Nako. You're all amazing. You're all really great. Thank you so much. I hope you all liked this video. Got pretty heated there. I don't know how much of it I'm going to keep in, but I ranted about rest and resolutions for about 7 minutes off script. So... got the fire inside of me. I don't like usually making videos so angry and negative, but when we're talking about the worst, you know what? I think it's okay to let it all out. Let's just get it all out of ourselves. And I want to hear about your thoughts on the worst episodes as well. Any and all thoughts and opinions, I'd love to see them. I do have a Patreon, and I have lots of fun things. I have merch. I have merch now, that's awesome. You can find links to everything in the description. And the end slate and whatever. That's gonna be really exciting. So if you were bummed out about this episode because it's a little negative, sorry about that. On the bright side, I've talked about my worst episodes, so all that's left is to do my favorite episodes, right? Well, we'll get back to that some other time. Once again, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.